counter C-UAS system. And in the early days of Epic Fury, there was quite a bit of incursions into some of our bases from drones. And our rapidly deployable version of this kit was sent to Barksdale within 30 hours of request. And in that first night, we actually had our first drone knockdown as well. So we are certainly taking advantage of what we're learning from a defensive perspective. But at the small level, at the 1, 2, 3, 4 person level, we're making sure that our best and smartest are in Germany and best helping out what they're advancing month to month in Ukraine.
If I could share, it's a daily conversation in the Marine Corps on the lessons that are being learned, and particularly for Marine Forces Reserve, our drone attack team in the Marine Corps is led by 2 reservists. The talent that we have in the reserves rises to the top, and in fact, they were just promoted meritoriously to Staff Sergeant by the Department of War due to their efforts in how do we use attack drones in the Marine Corps. And second, over the next 4 years, we're standing up our what we're calling our 4th LAD, our low altitude air defense. So we have our counter UAS and ballistic missile capabilities and detection in the Marine Corps and the Marine Corps Reserve, because we've seen that through force design. You've seen it in the current conflict where long range precision fires and the counter UAS is going to be a priority for our forces in the field. So we're getting it after in that way. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we're in the Army Reserve, we're driving on that in my opening statement. Obviously, not only what happened in Ukraine or what's going on in Ukraine, but what happened in Kuwait to our Army Reserve formation. To that end, I mean, we are procuring anti-drone kit using Negria. We will be testing 17 technologies at our integrated exercise this June, Operation Sentinel Justice, to include running our first ever kinetic drone range, where we will have expendable drones coming in and soldiers with their weapons in the proper site kinetically engaging and being able to defend themselves. So the Army Reserve, we take this very seriously. We're nested with the Army in Joint Task Force 401 to make sure we have the latest technology.
Mr. Chairman, I would add that for the Navy, and a force design standpoint, we are investing in billets that support both undersea warfare and surface assets from an unmanned perspective. Critical for us is the in that Negria funding as well is using that to fund unmanned systems and some of the other assets that we'll use both for aerial refueling and expeditionary logistics. So it ties in together, sir.
I have one more question directed General Harder that I admit has a Kentucky connection, but it's, I think, important to move in the direction of where the warfare is headed. Kentucky manufactures and produces ultra lightweight camouflage net system, commonly referred to as ULCANS. Both Ukraine and Russia have placed a high priority on passive defenses like modern camouflage against drones. Given the vulnerability of legacy camouflage systems against modern sensors and drones we're likely to face in the future, to what extent is the Army accelerating fielding of ULCANs at the speed of relevance? Does the current procurement strategy adequately address the requirements of the Army Reserve?
Well, thanks, Chairman. We are tied into to the Army's procurement of ULCAN. That is a game changer for us. We're getting rid of all of our legacy systems. We still have some of those. And I think what the battlefields of Ukraine will show that some of the basics of just getting back to cover and concealment, overhead cover, and systems like ULCAN that defeats IR and helps defeat some of the sensing systems goes a long way towards ensuring survivability on the battlefield. So the Army Reserve is synced with the Army in changing out our legacy systems for systems like ULCAN.
Thank you so much, Chairman. I could not agree more with your first question. Have you been to Ukraine? Senator Shaheen led a bipartisan delegation through which I recently had the chance to visit Odessa and to see deployed counter-drone systems that had been provided several years ago to the Ukrainians who are defending Odessa, to see deployed naval assets that had been donated by the United States, and to talk to to really critical U.S. leaders from the Army who are helping learn the lessons of Ukraine. And I think what I've seen and observed both in briefings and on the ground is that Ukraine is not just fighting bravely and with great determination against Russian brutality and aggression, but they are innovating into the next generation of warfare. And it is our dramatic loss if we fail to embrace and learn those lessons and to stand with those defenders. My first event this morning was with the Archbishop of the Ukrainian Catholic Church in a bipartisan breakfast, and I spent Sunday at a Ukrainian church in Delaware and met a double amputee veteran of the Ukrainian Armed Forces and an American mother whose son, with no ties to Ukraine, volunteered, deployed, and was killed by Russians in combat. So I recommend to you the chairman's insight. On Negria, I am encouraged that the DoD has finally included in the base budget request $1 billion. But I'm concerned about one thing. One of the most important features historically about how we have appropriated Negria funds is our requirement that all of you, as the chiefs of the reserve components, administer the funds. This ensures the Guard and Reserves actually prioritize their own requirements because at times there is a disconnect. Are you aware of any proposed changes to this process? Any of you? No. Then let me simply say on the record, it is my hope and intention that the Guard and Reserve will remain in control of the procurement and deployment decisions being made through that. One of the reasons I pay attention to this is that at times big Army, big Air Force does not make the same deployment decisions as the Guard and Reserves. This is a parochial question, but General Nordhaus, can you describe the operational benefits of completing the C-130J updates across all the Guard units who are not currently so equipped?
Thanks, Ranking Member Coons. Senator, the C-130 is just a great aircraft all the way across the board for moving tactical airlift and things across not only the battlefield, but across the homeland in response. The C-130J adds another pallet position, so it has extended range and has extended ability to take equipment and people and capabilities to where they need to go. So we appreciate the incredible funding of the C-130s from Congress. We have MOB 12 that we will push out shortly. So there's 3 units left with the H models, and then Arkansas, which has the training, and then the LCs up in New York. So we appreciate Congress's support on the C.